Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over UFC Denver Namajunas versus Cortez. First things first, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there's social media. There is the Stats and Stacks podcast coming off of a break week, and we are hyped to get into this week's of fights. A lot of people are saying it's a kind of a soft card here. There were a ton of cancellations. There were like 7, 8 fight cancellations here. It is what it is, but there's a lot of fun fights on this card. Not a lot of big names on here, but a ton of fun, and it's always fun when you're making money. So I am juiced to get back on the grind. So let's not waste any more time, baby. Let's jump right into it. And again, just be cognizant of the fact that it is in Denver. So there is the elevation aspect of everything. If you have a bad gas tank, it's going to be hard to bet on you. And that shows its ugly head in the very first fight of the night. We have Josh Fremd at minus 110, Andre Petrowski minus 110. Straight pick 'em, homie. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 195. Under 1.5 plus 150. Let's start with Andre Petrowski and let's address the elephant in the room. Everyone is against Andre Petrowski because of the way his last fight ended when he got KO'd by Jacob Malkoon's hip. I'll be honest, it wasn't a good look. It's very concerning because he's already someone that I thought was a little chinny. But outside of that, he knows his bread and butter. He's 33 years old and he has solid wrestling. He's a Division One wrestler. Very, very good jujitsu. He's one of the Henzo Gracie boys over in Philly. So he has world class jujitsu and world class wrestling to accompany it. His striking's not great. It's not even really that serviceable. It's not that good, to be honest with you. And we already talked about his chin and how he's been knocked out by Aaron Jeffries. He got knocked out by Jacob Malkoon's hip, and he got knocked out by Michelle Pereira. Like, none of that is a good look here. All three of his losses, all three of his professional losses are by KO. So he is chinny. And he does have a bad gas tank. He's someone that can fight through it. Even when he's gassed, he'll continue to go, but it is at a very slow and labored pace. So he has a tendency to either finish you in the dirt because you're gassed from all the wrestling, or you're both gassed and it is a complete slop fest in round three. The dude looks great round one. He fades a ton in round two and is just a shell of himself in round three. That takes us to Josh Fremd, who's eerily similar, to be honest with you. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. He's 30 years old himself. He's a little bit of a generalist. I can't tell you what he's great at. I can't tell you he's a wrestler, even though he'll bill himself as a wrestler. I think he wrestled at like Slippery Rock, which is like a D2 school in PA. But he's not really a good wrestler. He's only rocking a 31% takedown defense in the UFC. That's not a good look. He could fancy himself a striker, but his striking is not that good. It doesn't have a lot of volume. Not really any power on anything. He's a big dude. He just doesn't really hit that hard. And then his jiu-jitsu, he has some subs on his record, but he's also been sub multiple times. So it's kind of weird. He's a generalist, but he's not even like good at anything. He's just serviceable at all three levels. And then you talk about his chin and gas tank. His chin is fine. It holds up, but his gas tank is not. Even the last fight where he got knocked out, it was a liver punch, it was a body shot, so that's a little different. Outside of that, he got knocked out by Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez is, I mean, RoboCop is RoboCop. He's fought a good level of competition, fighting RoboCop prior to the UFC, fighting Fluffy in the UFC. Uh, that and Roman Kopylov's okay, but his wins in the UFC are not good. Cedric Dumas is terrible. Jamie Pickett's already been cut. Those are his wins, so that's not a good look here. So he's a can crusher, and if you're good at all, he does seem to struggle with you. Andre Petrowski again is not the greatest fighter in the world, but he did open as the favorite. He automatically got bet down to the underdog, and now we are just sitting at a straight pick 'em. Even at this, I think it's value. I don't like betting someone with a bad chin. I don't like betting someone with sus cardio, but we have the same thing on the other side. So the pick is going to be Petrowski. The bet is going to be Andre Petrowski, and shit's going to get wild the first fight of the night. Next fight, we are looking at Damon Blackshear at plus 135 going up against Montel Jackson at minus 160. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 215, under 2.5 at a smooth plus 165. Let's start with Montel Jackson because he's not someone I really believe in that much. Vegas loves him. They always bill him as a big favorite. He's 32 years old, so it's not as if he's an up and comer or anything like that. I mean, he's in his prime. 13-2 is a nice record. I'll give him that, and he is a good fighter. He has good striking. Decent power on him. Sneaky little jujitsu game. A lot of good front chokes. His wrestling offensively is okay. Defensively, a liability. 64% take, sorry, 69% takedown defense is not a good number. Again, he'll sprinkle it in offensively to try to steal around, but outside of that, man, that's how he's losing. Ricky Simone took him down and controlled him. He took him down like 8 times or something like that. Brett Johns took him down and controlled him, took him down like 6 or 8 times, something like that. And those are his 2 losses. That's how he lost. He's never been finished. He's never been KO'd. He's been taken down in all of his fights, basically. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, which is super nice in this matchup. And the UFC's the commentating team is not going to stop talking about his hands. They used to always say, "Well, his gloves are bigger than Francis Ngannou's." Well, Francis Ngannou's no longer in the UFC, so maybe they'll stop saying it, but they're still going to talk about his hand size. And there's a lot of things where I've seen where someone had or was it Brett Johns had a rear naked choke on him, and his big ass palms literally grabbed his hand and just pulled his hand off. He is freakishly strong, freakishly powerful. Uh, I mean, the guy's a good fighter. It's just even when you look at his wins, Jesse Strader's not the. Let me just go from most recent. Ronnie Yaya is not a good win. Julio Arce is a good win. I'll give him that one. JP Buys came up a weight class and gave him hell. Took him down multiple times. Jesse Strader is not a good win. Philippe Colares, RIP, not a good win. Andrei Sukumatov, not a good win. Brian Kelleher is an all right win, but all these guys have been cut from the UFC, like every single one of them. He has 0 wins over someone. Correction, Julio Arce. Outside of Julio Arce, he has no wins over someone that's still currently in the UFC. I think Yaya retired. Don't quote me on that. But if Yaya did retire, he's only beaten one guy that is still in the promotion. So he's been a little softball his whole run. He has a good get up game, but he gets taken down so goddamn easily, like over 5 times, multiple times. So that's concerning if you're fighting anyone that has any semblance of wrestling. And that's exactly what Damon Blackshear is. He's a freaky athletic wrestler. Damon Blackshear is or not world class, but very, very, very good jujitsu to accompany his wrestling, just like Andre Petrowski. Um, his striking's decent. It's not great, but he's such an athlete and he's so explosive and fast and powerful that he makes it work. Unlike his opponent in Montel Jackson, he's fought a really good level of competition. Mario Batista is pretty much a top 5 guy. Jose Johnson's not great, but he's huge. Luan Lacerda, people liked, but he kind of fell off. Reed Basharat's a really, really good fighter. Um, Danny Sabatello's a really good fighter over in Bellator. Pat Sabatini's a decent fighter. Chris Montigno was in the UFC. Like he's fighting all these guys on the regional scene, even as amateur scene. Tony Gravely, he's beat and lost to Tony Gravely. So it's very interesting here that his losses are because he's getting out wrestled. Pat Sabatini out wrestled him. Danny Sabatello out wrestled him. Fareed Bacharat out wrestled him. Mario Batista, that was a close fight. He took it on like 5 days' notice. I thought he won, but they went damage over control and gave it to Batista. That was close, man. I think it should have went to Blackshear. I had a big bet on Blackshear. Maybe I was a little too biased, but that was a 50-50 fight. But outside of that, the kid's good, man. The only weakness he has is that he slows down. And again, we're in elevation, and this is concerning. You see the Yusuf Zalal draw. He beat the absolute hell out of Yusuf Zalal for rounds 1 and 2. That actually got Yusuf Zalal cut because of this. But then he completely gassed and got 10-8 in round 3. I don't like that at all. And again, to beat Jackson, you have to take him down, which is what Blackshear is going to do. It's just Montel is a decent job getting back up. And will Blackshear be able to continually do it over and over and over without gassing out? I don't know. He's never been finished. He's always gone to decision. So this is going to be a little greasy. This could ultimately end up being a split decision. I could definitely see that. I don't know which way the judges will go. I don't hate the over in this matchup, but I'm talking about it being very close and being a split decision, uh, Blackshear is +1, basically +140. So you take the plus money there. So the pick is going to be Damon Blackshear. The bet's going to be Damon Blackshear. There's not a lot of dogs I like on this card. He might be my favorite dog on the entire card. Next fight of the night. I talked about not having a lot of dogs on this card. Well, the only other one I'm betting is right now. We have Luana Santos at -395 put up against Maria Agapova at +280. Over under set at 1.5 in a women's MMA fight. Over 1.5 -230. Under 1.5 at +175. Let's start with Luana Santos because I almost locked her. I thought she was very good. Then I saw the line, and again, I don't lock anything over -300. So maybe I won't lock her. And then I went, did fight tape, and forgot how unimpressed I am with Luana Santos. She's 24 years old and she shows it. She does have really good jujitsu. I'll give her that. Her wrestling, I thought, was better than it was. She has good judo. She has a lot of good like throws. But her just single and double leg series is not great. She's not going to chain wrestle. She will throw that disgusting head and arm just to get you down to the ground, try to grab a scarfold and go from there. But yeah, man, she's not as good of a wrestler as I thought. Her striking, I thought, was okay. She had a win over Juliana Miller via knockout in her debut. It's like, oh yeah, she hits decently hard, right? No, that's her only career knockout, and it's pretty herky jerky. Kind of reminds me of like a female Carlson Harris. It's not pretty to watch at all. Her striking's not that great. Her wrestling's overrated. Her jujitsu is good. I will give her that. But her cardio's trash, man. Her cardio, she slows down in every single one of her fights. She never gasses out, but she slows down considerably. She missed weight for her last fight. So there's a lot of negatives going around her. And the thing is, she will get boring if need be. She will grab a clinch, hold you against the fence, and take a break, honestly, just so that she can get a little bit of a breather and take minutes away in regards to the judging as well. Um, but I don't know, man. She was just not as impressive as I remembered. Her record is good. She only has one career loss, and it's to Jenna Bishop, and Jenna Bishop is doing her thing over in Bellator or PFL. Sorry, Jenna Bishop's a good fighter, but outside of that, she doesn't have any good wins. Her best win is Stephanie Yeager. That's not saying much. I mean, she went to a split with Jenna Bishop. That's impressive, but Jenna Bishop's kind of one dimensional here. And it kind of feels like Santos is too. She can try to strike, she can fake it, she can mask how bad she is. She throws with absolute heat. And I think that's why she's gassing out. She throws hard, but she doesn't have a ton of knockout power. She's 24 and she's fighting like it. She's very, very green. On the other side, we have a 27-year-old, so not exactly a beacon of experience here. And Maria Agapova. Agapova is someone who just simply can't be trusted. She's known as the female with the that lost being the biggest favorite in UFC history. She's not great. She's 27 years old. She's had a 2-year layoff, and I was hoping she was just out training. No, she had some knee injuries, and that's concerning. I don't like that at all. Her striking's very good. Like her striking's very good. She's very crisp. She's very fast. She's very precise. I was overly impressed with her striking. Oftentimes, like the women's MMA, you can say, "Oh yeah, they can like box with men out there." Like Maria can. Maria's very, very good on the feet, and she hits decently hard. Has a few knockouts on her record, a few club and subs. And I remember her jujitsu being really, really bad, just a liability on the ground. She's not. She's not that bad on the ground. When she choked out Sabina Mazo, I noticed how quick she slapped down that body triangle. It was very smooth, very fluid. I've seen her jump some guillotines, and they look pretty tight on freaking Jillian Robertson. She has some decent jujitsu, at least on a top game level. On the bottom, she tries. But it wasn't her jujitsu that's the biggest problem. It's her wrestling. Her wrestling got awful. 47% takedown defense, and that's where it happens. She is 10-3, or sorry, 10-4. She lost to Marina Moroz because Marina Moroz took her down and then ultimately got the submission after a while. She lost to Jillian Robertson because she took her down, ultimately got the submission after a while. She lost to Shayna Dobson because she gassed out, took her down. Ultimately got the submission after a while. She lost to Tracy Cortez because she got taken down like 5 times. So we see a common theme here. She has 4 losses, and in all 4 losses, she was taken down multiple times. Her takedown defense is trash. Her cardio is trash. Not good at all. The reason she lost to Shayna Dobson is because she blew her load trying to put her out in round one. Basically 10-8'd Shayna Dobson and then had nothing left to offer and got absolutely dismantled in round two until she ultimately lost. Yeah, man. She has very good counters. She'll skirt around the outside of the octagon, and Santos does like to go forward. That's fine. Maria prefers to fight off her back foot, so I do like that. She's the much better striker. On the feet, it's not even close. She will absolutely kill Santos on the feet. On the ground, Santos is the superior fighter, and then that kind of takes it to the cardio and the wrestling. The cardio is kind of a wash. They both have bad cardio. The wrestling definitely goes to Santos, but again, she's good at upper body stuff. And all of Agapova's takedowns doubles and singles. She can't sprawl. She's too tall and lanky to sprawl, but her being tall and lanky actually helps with upper body stuff and throws. So fuck it. I don't think she wins this fight. She does have an inch and a half reach advantage as well, and she's coming off leg injuries. She's mentally insane. She's been kicked out of a plethora of camps. She was like banging people in the in the gym, and then the wife got mad, and then she started doing drugs and got kicked out for doing drugs. Like she's just all over the place. She became like a tattoo artist to make money, and she's just a wild child. She's crazy. She's absolutely nuts. But I fucking like crazy at these odds. Again, plus 280. I don't hate the under 2.5 at all. I don't like the 1.5. I'll take the 2.5 and see one of these girls gas out. But even for getting the under, I think Agapova plus 280 is value. I don't think she wins the fight, but this line is way off. I would think Santos wins, but it's too much to ignore with this line. So the pick is going to be Luana Santos. The bet is going to be Maria Agapova. God bless. All right, then that takes us to the next fight of the night, and there is no over under on this fight because this is a short notice replacement. We have Jazz Davicius at plus 100 now, going up against Fatima Klein at minus 120. This line opened with Klein being like plus 180, plus 200, and she is now the favorite. Everyone absolutely steamed this line. Everyone is in love with Klein, and myself included. The girl's good, man. She's 6-0. She's only 23 years old. She's making her UFC debut. I accidentally went to Maria Akapova. She's 23 years old, making her debut. Her claim to fame, she is main training partners, possible girlfriend of Aaron Blanchfield, TBD. She's good everywhere. She's predominantly a grappler. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. Very, very good on the ground. But she can strike, man. She's very clean on the feet, has decent power on the feet. Her wrestling is good. It might be better than Blanchfield, to be honest with you. So she has good wrestling. She has sneaky good striking. Or she has good striking, sneaky good power, really good jiu-jitsu, moves forward, pressures forward, great cardio. She does not get tired at all. So, what is there not to like about her? One, she's taking the fight on short notice. And two, she's a 115 pounder. She is going up a weight class, taking this fight on short notice, and that concerns me. Her level of competition's not great. Again, she's only 23 years old, so that's no shame to her. But again, I just don't like that she's going up a weight class. This is very reminiscent to me of like a few weeks ago when Muhammad Naimov fought Felipe Lima. This is basically the same thing. You know, one person is more talented than the other. You know, if it was even playing field, Lima would absolutely kill Naimov, but it was relatively close. Talent ultimately won. And Lima got the win, but it was pretty greasy up until he got that submission. Same ordeal here. Naimov was just physically bigger, and that's exactly what Jasmine Jasnavicius is. Jasmine Jasnavicius is 35 years old. She's not a great striker, but she's improving. She's not a great wrestler, but she'll outmuscle you. She's not that great on the ground, to be honest with you. She hasn't really fought anyone on the ground to expose that. But her biggest quality, her size. She's huge. She is one of the biggest 125 pounders in the UFC. So you have a more talented 23-year-old that is a strawweight going up against a pretty untalented but game 125-pounder that should probably be fighting at 135 pounds. This is an issue. This is a problem. You know, physicality versus talent. What are you taking? My thing is Jasmine does have a propensity to slow down in her fights. She slowed down in her contender series fight against Polostri. She slowed down against Kay Hansen. She gassed out against Natalia Silva. She looked good against Gabriel Fernandez, but she was on top and dominating. It's hard to gas out when you're just riding someone on top. Miranda Maverick, same thing. When her cardio looks good, she takes you down and she's just hanging out on top doing some ground and pound. That's when she looks good. When she's losing, she's gassing out because she can't take down Natalia Silva. She's gassing out because she lost to Elise Reed. That's concerning. Tracy Cortez. That was a very, very close fight. They both gassed out, so it kind of evened out, but Tracy was just the faster girl. Natalia Silva was the faster girl. So she's big and she's bad and she's durable. She's never been finished. All of her losses by decision, and all of her wins are because she bullies you. All of her losses is because she's just too fucking slow. Yeah, I don't know, man. 80% takedown defense. So this fight's probably gonna be on the feet. I don't know, man. This is a really, really, really close fight. Not because of talent, but because of size. But ultimately, I will always fade. Or sorry, I will always side with the talent. You just always side with the talent. So the pick is going to be Fatima. The bet's going to be Fatima. I really liked her as a dog. She is one of my favorite dogs, and now it's the favorite. Short notice, up a weight class. I'll still take her. Pick is Fatima. Bet is Fatima Klein. Next fight of the night, we have Charles Energy Johnson at plus 170 going up against Joshua Van at minus 205. Over 2.5 minus 360, under 2.5 at plus 260. Let's start with Charles Energy Johnson. He's a 5-inch reach advantage here, which is good. 33 years old, so he's in his prime. He's fought a very good level of competition in his career, fighting Brandon Royval, Muhammad Makayev, Asmat Maxim. He's fought some Cody Durden. He's fought some really, really good guys here. He has really good striking. His jiu-jitsu sneaky good, man. He's very good on the ground. You just don't see it much. He has a lot of good front choke series, a lot of anacondas, a lot of guillotines, things like that on his record. He has really good cardio. That's what he's known for. I mean, his fucking nickname is Energy. That's his best quality. Is never getting tired. His wrestling is not as bad as people think. Yes, he has pretty bad takedown defense, but he has a really good get up game. And the people that are continually taking him down are just Asmat Maxim and Rafael Estevan. That one's weird. Cody Durden, Muhammad Makayev. Like, I mean, are you going to blame him for getting taken down multiple times by them? Like, those are good wrestlers. So it's not really his fault. His takedown defense looks that bad. It's better than people give him credit because of who he fought. The problem with him is he doesn't have a lot of power. And every fight is close. Every single one of his fights, whether he's winning or losing, is very, very close because he's so pillow fisted. It usually comes down to takedowns and power versus volume. That's what he has. That's what it comes down to. Some of his wins are because people slowed down. He had a knockout against Jimmy Flick. That was a questionable stoppage. He kind of got away with one there. But ultimately, and Jimmy Flick even took him down. So ultimately, it comes down to volume versus someone having just the numbers for Johnson. And then you have the moments for his opponent and seeing how the judges do it. Again, split against Ode Osborne, split against Olga Samagulov. A very close fight against Jake Hadley. Very close fight against Asmat Maxim, against Rafael Estevan. Every single fight is close. Cody Durden, not so much. He just took him down and controlled him. But every single fight is close because of the way Energy fights. On the other side, we have Joshua Van, my boy. I love Joshua Van. Everyone loves Joshua Van. He's 22 years old. He has very good striking. Jiu-jitsu, he will go for it. He shouldn't. He's very green on the ground, but that doesn't scare him from going for guillotines, some rear naked chokes, whatever he can. He doesn't really wrestle too much. It's more opportunistic jujitsu, essentially. Won't wrestle a lick. But he has very good striking, very good volume, very high fight IQ for someone that's only been doing it for like 3 years. Level of competition isn't great outside of Zalgas Zamagulov, but they both fought him and they both won a split against Zalgas. But that Joshua Van fight should not have been a split. I had Zalgas Zamagulov, and Joshua Van dominated round 2 and 3. Joshua Van always starts slow. Don't get me wrong, he will lose round 1. He just kind of downloads all the information Peter Yan style, never wins round 1, but he carries a ton of volume. He himself has great cardio, possibly even better than Charles Johnson. As definitely hits harder than Charles Johnson, pressures forward nonstop, and that's the thing that has me going Joshua Van's direction. I was initially going to side with the just the value and plus 170 of Charles Johnson and the experience. But he does look much better going forward. He does not look great off his back foot. Joshua Van doesn't take a step back. He always just goes forward. And I think that's where the optics are going to be in his favor. Also, Charles Johnson wins a lot of these fights because of his volume. Everything's close because of his volume. Joshua Van throws more. So I don't. The way Charles Johnson wins this fight is through grappling, through wrestling, and through jujitsu. But that's not what he's going to do in front of a ruckus crowd. It is a live event. He ain't doing that. He's going to want to go tit for tat and strike with Joshua Van, and Joshua Van's going to hit harder and probably have more volume and go forward. So at that point, you have to side with the young kid. Is that great? Do I love it? No, he's 22 years old, and these young kids always fuck up. But at this point, just because of styles makes fight, the pick is going to be Joshua Van. The bet is going to be Joshua Van. We're betting on a 23-year-old and a 22-year-old, basically back to back. That's frightening. Next fight of the night, this person's not in neither one are in their 20s. We have Cody Brundage plus 135 going up against Abdul Razak Al Hassan at minus 160. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 plus 115. Under 1.5 minus 145. Let's start with Cody Brundage. He's 30 years old. Former D1 wrestler. His wrestling's decent. It could be better considering his pedigree and how he does in the octagon, but he is okay wrestling. Sneaky power. The dude cracks. He hits extremely hard. We saw him rock Rodolfo Vieira. We saw him knock out Trayshawn Gore. We saw him knock out Zach Reese with a slam. Dude hits hard. He cracks very, very hard. It's just not very clean, not very good, especially trying to get Factory X Muay Thai. You think it would be better, but it is what it is. I will say he trains in Denver, so he does train in elevation. He'll probably have the crowd behind him because he trains in Denver. His jiu-jitsu is pretty solid. He's a good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Problem with him is that he's very low volume. I talked about how bad he is on the feet. His volume is one of the main reasons. He hits like an absolute truck, but he hardly throws. And when he does, it leaves an impact on him because he does slow down in his fights. He gets a little tired. He jumps guillotine nonstop. He can't help it. He can't resist it. He got against Dolce Lumian Bulov. That might have been the worst thing to ever happen to him. So now he keeps jumping it. He's jumping it against Rodolfo Vieira. He's jumping it against Cedric Dumas. He's losing fights because of he's jumping guillotine. It is what it is. He's extremely hittable on his feet, and that's mainly because he hardly throws anything. And he's kind of chinny, man. William Knight knocked him out. We saw Michael Oleksiejczuk knock him out. He gets knocked out all the time, so it's not good. He's not a great fighter by any means, but he's an okay wrestler. He's a pretty good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He just slows down in his fights and doesn't throw a lot. Luckily, on the other side, he is 38-year-old Alassane, who gasses out even more than Cody Brundage does, or if not more, just as much. It's equal. He's 38 years old, and he has a ton of power. The dude hits hard. He was an absolute killer at 170, since going up to 185. Carried the power with him. Dude hits hard. His striking's good. His jiu-jitsu's not great. His wrestling, he has a judo background, but can't stuff a takedown to save his life if it's folk style. Singles or doubles, I watched five Alassane fights. Every single time he got taken down was by a double leg. Dude cannot stuff a double leg. I don't know if he knows what the word sprawl means. 50% takedown defense in the octagon. Also very hittable on his feet. He hits hard, but he doesn't throw a ton. And his cardio is the worst part of his game. He moves forward, he marches forward, he swings heavies, and he gasses out doing it. So you have two guys with bad cardio. Halasan has also been chin checked a few times. He got knocked out by, he got one hitter quittered by Chaos Williams. He got submitted by Joe Pfeiffer. Who else knocked him out? Was it just Chaos? Yeah, Chaos is the only one to knock him out. So maybe his chin's not that bad, but Buckley did rock him a few times. But Buckley hits hard, but so does Brundage. So I don't know, man. I think someone's going out this fight. I doubt. I don't know, man. I feel like they're both going to overcompensate this being in Denver. And I think Brundage knows he's going to have to wrestle to win. I don't think Brundage is just going to go out and sub Alisson right away. And I don't hate the over 1.5 being plus money. Everyone expects someone to get knocked out right away, and you can bum rush Cody Brundage. He is not good backing up. And Abdul Razak Alisson does march forward. So on the feet, Alisson's going to kill him. On the ground, it's advantage Brundage. So it comes down to judo versus folk style, and Cody is a wrestler. Cody is someone who wrestled D1 in America, so he shoots double leg takedowns. The thing Abdul Razak Khalasan cannot stop. So at that point, I don't really want to bet either side. I'm going to pick Alasan because he could start him in 30 seconds and look like a minus 500 favorite. But if I'm betting anything, it's going to be the over 1.5. It's plus money. I think Brundage may be able to get a takedown and stall before ultimately getting clipped. So the pick is going to be Alasan. The bet is going to be Brundage. Or sorry, the bet's going to be over 1.5. Right, next fight of the night, we have Christian C-Rod Rodriguez minus 205 going up against Juicy J Julian Arosa at plus 170. Over under at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 165. Under 2.5 at plus 130. Let's start with C-Rod because he's the man. He has really good striking, a pretty decent front choke series, good jiu-jitsu with his anacondas, with his guillotines and such. He has okay wrestling. It shows 66% takedown defense, but he fought Isaac Dalgarian, who does nothing but wrestle and is a D1 wrestler. He fought Cameron Simon, who tries to wrestle you. He fought Raul Rosas Jr., who's a great wrestler. He fought Jonathan Pierce up a weight class on short notice, who's a great wrestler. Even Joshua Weems tries to wrestle. So he's fought literally nothing but wrestlers his entire UFC tenure outside of Cameron Simon. He fought a striker in Cameron Simon and he beat the absolute shit out of him. He's only 26 years old, but part of the reason he beat the hell out of Raul Rosas Jr., part of the reason he beat the hell out of Cameron Simon, because he missed weight. And the UFC said, fuck that. You miss weight back to back. You're not fighting 135. You're fighting 145. And he fought Isaac Dalgarian at 145 and won a split decision. It was a very, very close, greasy fight. Whatever, INC Rod, I thought he won. It is what it is. So again, he has good striking, he has good jiu-jitsu, he has better wrestling than people think. He has good cardio, he can go a hard 15 minutes, so the elevation won't affect him. And he will mix in a takedown from time to time. A problem with him is he's not like a beacon of volume. It's not low volume by any means, but he's on the precipice. He hits decently hard. He doesn't have a lot of knockouts in the UFC. It's not materializing there. But part of the reason he's low volume is because of he's a counter striker. That's what he likes to do. He throws in combinations if he's going offensively, and otherwise he prefers to sit back and counter strike. And when he counters, he hits hard, and he has a lot of knockouts on the regional scene. On the other side, we have Juicy J, who is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. He's good on the ground. He's a really good striker and presses forward, which is good. Again, Rodriguez prefers to counter strike. Julian Arosa prefers to go forward. So they're both going to be comfortable there. Arosa, good striking, good jiu-jitsu, okay wrestling. He'll sneak it in from time to time. I do think he'll struggle to take down C-Rod. He throws a ton of volume, so that's concerning fighting C-Rod. He could potentially go out there and just outpoint him. The problem is his chin. He has a 3.5 inch reach advantage, which is nice, but his chin is possibly the worst in the UFC. Alex Caceres knocked him out. We had Fernando Padilla knocked him out. Sung Woo Choi knocked him out. Julio Arce knocked him out. Grant Dawson decisioned him, but before that, Devontae Smith knocked him out. Bobby McIntyre knocked him out. Paddy Pimblett decision, but this other guy before that knocked him out. And the Ultimate Fighter, Artem Lobov, knocked him out. Like all of his losses outside of one, two, three. He has three, four, five. Okay, so he has 5 decisions on his record. He has 11 losses. So all the rest by KO. That's not good. The dude is extremely chinny, and he is very hittable to boot, and he has a 55% takedown defense. So if you want him down, you can get him down. Again, C-Rod will mix in a wrestling takedown. And Rosa himself will mix in a takedown. He has very good cardio. So they both have good cardio. They both have good striking. One throws a lot more than the other, but one has a very, very bad chin. And at the end of the day, I think he's going to catch him. He goes forward. He's very hittable. He tries to just pressure you until you break, and then he finishes you. But I think in one of these crazy brawl exchanges, he's going to get caught. He's going to get clipped, and he's going to get put out. The pick is going to be Christian Rodriguez. The bet is going to be Christian Rodriguez. I like Juicy J. That chin is a liability. Next fight of the night, we have Gabriel Bonfim minus 340 going up against Angelusa plus 270. Over under set at 1.5. It's a Bonfim fight. Over 1.5 minus 175. Sorry, over 1.5 minus 175, under 1.5 plus 135. Let's start with Angelusa. He's better than people give him credit, man. He's 10-3. He trains at Sanford, or not Sanford, what's it called now? Clow Cliff FC. He has good striking. He has an inch-and-a-half reach advantage here. Sneaky good wrestling. He grew up a striker, developed a nice little wrestling game on him. Jiu-jitsu's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's serviceable. The problem with him, 90% takedown defense is solid. He kind of dictates where the fight's taking place. He throws pretty decent volume. He landed like 126 strikes in elevation against AJ Fletcher. That was a good look. Problem with him is he can get backed up. He can be a little hittable at times, and he can slow down in his fights. I don't like that. And again, he has 90% takedown defense, but against who? He fought AJ Fletcher, who's not exactly a great wrestler. He fought Manir Lizez, who's not exactly a great wrestler. He fought Brian Battle, and Brian Battle beat his ass. Well, it wasn't as bad as people say. People are saying Brian Battle beat his ass and he wanted a way out. He got eye poked and he quit. The second part's true. He got eye poked and he quit. Brian Battle was definitely winning the fight, but it wasn't like a 10-8 domination. Like Andalusa was in the fight. He was definitely losing, but he wasn't just on his way to get knocked out the next second or two. He can be rocked. He's been chin checked multiple times, but he's never gone out. He's only lost by decision. So I don't know, man. He's just a generalist. That's all he is. He's a generalist that slows down. He doesn't gas out, but he'll slow down in his fight. But he can do everything well. And again, he's a really good striker, a sneaky wrestler. He has really high fight IQ. He does everything correct. On the other side, we have Gabriel Bonfim, who got exposed in his last fight. He's 26 years old. He has really good jiu-jitsu. That's his bread and butter. He is world class on the ground. Striking's good. Power, he hits decently hard. Wrestling, pretty good takedowns on him. Some decent wins against Trevin Giles, against Trey Waters. He beat Manir Lizez in 40 seconds. A guy that beat Angelusa on short notice, but on his UFC debut. He marches forward, has some pretty decent power on him. He's good. He's good everywhere. Good striker, good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu. What's his problem? Cardio. All of his wins are in round one. He has one win here midway through round two. He has one win here at the very end of round three. And he has one win here halfway through round two. The other 12 are all round one finishes. The dude has a little bit of a cardio issue, and his first ever career loss was against Nicholas Dalby. Why? Because Dalby didn't fuck off, and Dalby stayed around, and Dolby ultimately gassed him out. Now, I will say Dolby marches forward, and the pressure added on to the cardio issues. So Angelusa does not do that. He can be backed up. He prefers to counter strike. So Bonfim's cardio is going to be a little better on that regard, that he's not going to be being pressured the whole time. However, they're in elevation. So that's where you're at. Bonfim is the better fighter. Bonfim wins this fight 9 times out of 10, but they're in elevation, and that changes those numbers. And right now, these numbers are out of control. Minus 340, plus 270 on Angelusa. Bonfim is the better. Yeah, I think it's a wash on the feet. I think it's 50-50. I Bonfim's the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. Wrestling is probably a wash. Cardio goes to Angelusa, but the line has him at plus 270. That makes no sense. But I think Bonfim wins this fight. It's just, does he overcompensate? He lost his last fight not because he wasn't the better fighter, but because his cardio failed him. He is in elevation. He knows he's in elevation. Is he not going to fight as hard round one and give round one away? Like, is he going to pull a Terrence McKinney, basically? Terrence McKinney will kill anyone in round one. You get him in the round 2 or 3, and he's a dead man walking. That is Gabriel Bonfim. And when Terrence McKinney tries to slow down and fight, doesn't look good, man. He doesn't do himself. He loses the first round trying to just kind of overcompensate his cardio. So what is Bonfim going to do? This is his first career loss. We never saw him come back from a loss. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what we're getting, and I can't trust minus 340. So the pick is going to be Bonfim. The bet, I was staring at that over, but the over 1.5 is minus 175. Yeah, that's what I'm going to take. I'm not going to take the plunge on Lusa. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to take the over. So the pick is going to be Bonfim. The bet's going to be the over 1.5. Next fight of the night is another weird one. We have Drew Dober and Gene Silva at a straight pick 'em at minus 110. Over 1.5, minus 125. Under 1.5, minus 105. Also almost a pick 'em. Let's start with Drew Dober from Sinchin himself. He is 35 years old. That's not good. But he has very good striking. Really, really powerful dude. A ton of power on him. Has fought the who's who in the division. Fought Islam Makhachev. Fought Dan Hooker. Or did he fight Dan Hooker? Sorry. Fought Islam Makhachev. Fought Matt Frivola. Bobby Green. Fought the aforementioned Terrence McKinney. Brad Riddell. Alexander Hernandez. Benil Dariush. But when you look at his losses, he got taken down and controlled by Islam. Got knocked out by Matt Frivola. That didn't look good. He got controlled by Renato Moicano in a very close fight. Brad Riddell outstruck him, but Brad Riddell's just as good on the feet. Benil Dariush took him down and controlled him and finished him on the ground. OAM took him down and finished him on the ground. Efrain Ascadero took him down and finished him on the ground. You see a common theme here. You take him down and you control him or you finish him on the ground. Silva's not a wrestler. Silva's a striker. So you have striker versus striker in this matchup. I think it's going to be super fun, super explosive. He has 56% takedown defense. I don't know how relevant that is here. He is now a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, so he has worked on just getting taken down and finished. Moicano is a world-class Jiu-Jitsu practitioner and didn't finish him, so his Jiu-Jitsu's gotten much, much better. My problem is his chin is declining while his jiu-jitsu's getting better. He's 35 years old. Father Time is undefeated. The older he gets, the worse his chin is getting. Before he was known for having legendary durability, it's fading. It's leaving him. It's 35 years old. Shit happens. I will say he trains in elevation. He trains in Colorado, so he will have the crowd behind him. He's also American fighting a Brazilian, so he'll have the USA chant. So the whole crowd will be behind Drew Dober, and I don't know if that hurts or helps him with the judges there. It can't hurt at all. On the other side, we have John Silva or Gene Silva fighting on a Fight Nerds who just don't lose in the UFC apparently. Gene Silva just fought 2 weeks ago against Charles Jourdain. He missed weight against Charles Jourdain, and now he's taking a short notice fight up a weight class. I don't know, man. This is someone that used to fight at 135. Now he's up at 155. And Drew Dober is a big dude. Silva's 27. Again, he is traditionally a 45 pounder right now, so he's going up in weight. He's taking this fight on short notice. His cardio's okay, but he's not going to be used to the elevation. He himself has a pretty decent amount of power. He's extremely fast, man. The dude reads everything. He's very hard to hit. He has that fight nerd karate style that they all have. Um, Dude's good. He has very, very good counters and hits very, very hard. If you miss, he makes you pay. And he tries to sprinkle in takedowns. I don't know if he'll do it in this matchup, but I didn't like Charles Jourdain fighting him for like 8 minutes and getting 3 takedowns. Charles Jourdain is a god awful wrestler. So if Drew Dover wanted to, he could probably take down Silva and vice versa. Neither one of these guys can wrestle. He throws pretty decent volume for someone who hits that hard. His schedule's not great, but I mean he's 27. It is what it is. He's only been in the UFC twice. Weston Wilson and Charles Jourdain. So his jiu-jitsu's okay. And we're at Fight Nerds, and they're all good at jiu-jitsu. So it's a close fight, but mainly this is striker versus striker. One guy is young and athletic and hits hard. The other one is super experienced, fought the better people, and hits hard. Which one wins? I don't know. It probably doesn't go the distance, so the hometown crowd probably is taken out of it. I don't know, man. I just think Silva might be too fast. But Dober is so good. This is tough, man. It kills me to say it. I am not a Gene Silva fan at all, but I think speed kills. I think the pick is going to be Gene Silva, and the bet would be Gene Silva. Or you can just take the under, but it's set at 1.5. I don't like that. You can take the under 2.5, or fight doesn't go the distance. That's probably what I like better. So the pick is going to be Silva. The bet's going to be the under alt line 2.5, or fight doesn't go the distance. And that takes us to the co-main event. We have Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Muslim Solikov. For whatever reason, I don't have the. Sorry, we have the over under sitting at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 215. Under 1.5 at plus 165. I know Santiago is a big favorite. I know Muslim Solikov is plus 170. What was hold on? Ponzinibbio's minus. Oh, sorry. So the line has changed. Muslim Solikov is plus 160. Santiago Ponzinibbio at minus 190. Let's start with Muslim Salikov. We talked about old people earlier. He's the oldest man on the card. He is 40 years old. He is world class striking. King of Kung Fu is his nickname. Dude spins a shit ton. He looks like Saeed Nurmagomedov out there with all the spins. Really good striking. Really hits hard. A ton of power. He's Russian and uses his wrestling. Sneaky good wrestling, man. He's a very good wrestler offensively. Jiu-jitsu is not great. He doesn't have a lot of good control while he's on the ground. He doesn't really have any submission wins or that many. But he will take you down just to kind of steal around there. Problem with him is just like Dober, he's getting chinnier and chinnier with age. We saw Randy Brown kill a man a few months ago. We saw him fade against Nicholas Dolby because of his cardio. His cardio is bad. And part of that's because he's 40 years old. Father Time is undefeated. The dude's 40 years old. He has bad cardio and a bad chin now. He still is very hard to hit, has very good striking, has very good wrestling. He generally dictates where this fight is taking place. But if you can catch him, you can put him out. If you can stay alive, he will gas out, and then you can put him out. That's just what happens. He spins a lot. He's liable to finish anyone, but he himself is liable to get finished as well. On the other side, we have Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's hasn't really been much of a finisher as of late. Earlier on in his career, he was getting a ton of knockouts. As of late, he's going to decision all the time. He's 37 years old, so he's no spring chicken himself. He is good striking. I would say Muslims is much better, but it's serviceable. And he throws a lot of heavy, heavy leg kicks, so he will stop all those spins. If Muslim can't spin if he's constantly kicked in the leg. His jiu-jitsu's okay. His wrestling's all right. But his takedown defense is showing a 60% takedown defense. Offensively, he'll sprinkle a takedown in. Defensively, 60% a little bit of a liability. He'll have a 3-inch reach advantage here, which I found surprising. But the best part of his game is his cardio. He has good cardio still. He marches forward with good cardio. You can pressure a spinner. So that's not good for Muslim. He can leg kick the absolute shit out of him to where it's tough to spin. That's not good for Muslim. And he has good cardio. That's not good for Muslim. So although I think Muslim would be live for a KO, because Santiago just got knocked out like 4 months ago badly against Kevin Holland, Sorry, not 4 months ago. That was in 2023 in April. So he's been off for a year. Huh. Interesting. But he did get knocked out by the Leech. He got rocked badly by Michelle Pereira. He got rocked by Alice Morono. He got knocked out by the Leech and Kevin Holland. Yeah, dude's been getting knocked out as of late. So I don't know. I don't think Muslim does it. I think it's all Santiago. I'll probably have a decent sized bet on Santiago. So the pick is Ponzinibbio. The bet's Ponzinibbio. And that takes us to the main event of the evening. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe, give a follow, give a like over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there's social media. There is the Stats and Stacks podcast. We have Rose, not Thug. Yeah, Namajunas at minus 220 going up against Tracy Cortez at plus 180. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 is minus 280. Under 4.5 at plus 210. Let's start with Doug Rose. Doug Rose, 32 and in her prime. She's a former 115 pounder, but she's starting to fill into that 125-pound build. She has good striking. She has good jiu-jitsu. She has sneaky good wrestling offensively. Defensively, 59% takedown defense, not great, but she does have a great level of competition. She's a former champion down at 115 twice. She's good, man. Doug Rose is very, very good. She has good cardio. The elevation is not going to impact her. She's used to fighting main events. This is Tracy's first main event. Yeah, man, everything is leading in Doug Rose's direction. She is just overall a good fighter, former champion. Her only liability is the fact that she has 60% takedown defense, basically, but it's tough to hold her down. She'll get up or she'll sweep you down there because she's good on the ground. On the other side, we have Tracy Cortez. He's 30 years old and in her prime. Best quality of Tracy Cortez is her wrestling. If she wants to take down Doug Rose, she can. Tracy's a good wrestling. She has good striking. She's very quick. She doesn't have a ton of power, but she's very clean on the feet. Her jiu-jitsu is not great. For someone that wrestles so much, you would hope that it was better. It's not. She's also taking this fight on short notice. And the reason that's a big issue is because Tracy has suspect cardio. We've seen her slow down against Jasmine Jasnovicius and lose round three. We saw her slow down against Melissa Gatto a little. We saw her gas out against Justine Kish and barely win a split decision. Yeah, we saw her slow down against Stephanie Ager and lose round three at that matchup. She loses round three all the fucking time. Erin Blanchfield all the time because she gasses out. She does not have good cardio. She also misses weight all the time at minus one or at 125. So her taking this on short notice. Let's see if this even happens. Hopefully, Muslim and Santiago are not the main event. But Tracy, yeah, you got to watch weigh-ins to see if she even makes the weight. Again, she's a good wrestler. She's a good striker. She's fought an okay level of competition, but we are in elevation. Rose also trains in Colorado with Trevor Whitman, or is that New Mexico? I don't know. Either way, Thug Rose is going to be the crowd favorite. Thug Rose is going to have the better cardio, and Tracy Cortez relies on being quicker. Thug Rose is coming up from 115. She is not. Tracy's not faster than Doug. Doug Rose is either faster or it's the same. That's not good for Tracy. Doug Rose hits much harder. That's not good for Tracy. And I was absolutely shocked to see that these girls were the same height and basically had the same reach. So there is not a size advantage for Tracy. Tracy struggles to make 125. Doug is coming up to 125, but they are the same size. Doug's the better striker. Doug's the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. Tracy has the wrestling, but she doesn't have cardio to hold that up for 25 minutes. So the pick is going to be Doug Rose. The bet's going to be Doug Rose. And don't sleep on that submission prop. Doug Rose used to be a submission whiz down on the ground. She has not had a sub in a long time. Tracy's not that great on the ground. Even one of her old training partners at Fight Ready was talking about how she's not great on the ground. And her only way to win is probably to wrestle. And she's going to gas out this fight in elevation. A known gasser fighting in elevation on short notice. When she gasses out, she can get subbed. If she goes in for a sloppy takedown, she can get subbed. She can get knocked out as well. Either way, I have Rose winning this and easily. I don't hate the under 2.5 or under 4.5 either. At plus 210, that's really really good odds. I think Rose gets a finish here. So the pick is going to be Rose. The bet's going to be Rose, probably inside the distance. But if you don't want to get greedy, Rose will be the anchor in all my parlays. And that is UFC Denver, man. Again, only 11 fights. Not the craziest names on the card, but a lot of fun fights, man. We're here to enjoy ourselves, and most importantly, we're here to make money. Let's get it.